have noticed this old lamp in my attic. I wonder when it was used last. I wonder if it would work now if we plugged it in. As old as it looks, we must remember that there was a time when there were no electric lights. Why, if you wanted to be able to see at night or on a dark day, you had to depend on candlelight, or perhaps light from a fire, or maybe light from a smelly kerosene lantern like this one. All that was changed by a person that we know as Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was born over 100 years ago in this house in Milan, Ohio. He was born on February 11th, 1847. At that time, in America, in fact, in all the world, there were no radios, no telephones, no automobiles, no movies. In all the world, there was not one electric light. When Tom was little, he began asking questions just about as soon as he could talk. But he was not always happy with other people's answers. So, when he grew up, he worked out his own answers. And the special answers of Thomas Alva Edison were inventions. Perhaps his most important invention was the one that pushed back the dark, the electric light. When Tom was only 4, he noticed something odd in the barn. He noticed that the family goose always sat on her eggs. Tom asked his mother,
"Why does our goose sit on the eggs, Mother?"
Because she wants to keep them warm.
But why?
Because they will hatch if they stay warm.
But what does hatch mean?
Hatch means coming out of an egg, Tom. It means being born for a baby goose.
Mrs. Edison picked up an egg.
See how warm it is? When it is ready, a baby goose will come out of this shell.
The eggs have to be warm to hatch?
That's right, Tom.
Then gently, Mrs. Edison put the egg back in the nest. That night, Tom's family was worried about him. They had not seen him for hours. His mother and father and his older sister Tanny looked all through the house for him. They looked in the yard. Then they looked in the barn, and there was Tom, curled up on a nest. Tom's father shouted,
"What are you doing, Tom Edison?"
Tom had an answer ready. He was hatching eggs. He was making baby geese. His sister Tanny burst out laughing.
You're the goose, Tom Edison. Just look at those eggs. Just look at your pants.
Poor Tom. He was all egg. He was only 4, but he was much too heavy to sit on an egg. He was only 4, and he was very disappointed. That was Tom Edison's first experiment, and it was a failure. In 1854, the Edisons moved away from Milan, Ohio. They went by train and boat to the town of Port Huron, Michigan. There, Tom started school. The schoolmaster, Mr. Engel, had a terrible temper. He didn't like children very much, and most of all, he didn't like Tom Edison, who asked so many questions. One day, Mr. Engel lost his temper.
Tom Edison, all you do is ask silly questions. There is nothing I can do with you. Your brains are addled.
When Mrs. Edison heard what the schoolmaster had said, she was angry. Addled? Weak in the head? Ha! Not her son. But she could not say as much for Mr. Engel. Mrs. Edison took Tom out of school. She would teach him herself. Tom never went back to school. In all his life, Thomas Edison spent only 3 months in school. Tom spent only 3 months in school, but he was a great reader. He read all kinds of books. When Tom was 9, he read a science book. It told about electricity. Electricity. Oh, how Tom loved that word. This book changed Tom's life. He decided to become an inventor. Tom needed money for his experiments. He needed money for more science books. So, when he was only 12, Tom went to work. He had to leave his home in Port Huron at 7 o'clock every morning, and he did not get home again until long after dark. Tom sold newspapers on a train. Oh, he also sold sandwiches and apples, peanuts and candy. Tom made money on the train, but he needed still more money for his experiments and books. What could he do to make more money? Tom thought about this for some time. Then he had an idea. He would put out his own newspaper. He would write it and print it and sell it. Oh, but where could he work? There was plenty of room in the baggage car on the train. Tom bought an old printing press and put it in the baggage car, and he started to work, writing, printing, and selling copies of his own paper. Tom didn't spell very well. Sometimes he forgot to put periods at the end of his sentences, and so they ran on and on and on. But people bought his paper. They liked the stories, and Tom's spelling made them laugh. Now, Tom made more money, but he had one more problem. He had the money for his experiments, but he didn't have the time. All day long and far into the night he was on the train. He was much too tired by the time he got home to work on his experiments so late at night. Tom solved this problem too. He moved his glass jars and his chemicals. He moved his whole laboratory into the baggage car. Now Tom could do his experiments while he was on the train. One morning, Tom was late getting to the station. The train was already pulling out. Tom ran very fast and grabbed hold of the back of the train. But his arms were full of bundles and he could hold on with only one hand. The train clicked and clacked as it went faster and faster. Tom was slipping. A man on the train reached down and grabbed Tom. He grabbed the first thing he could get hold of. He grabbed Tom's ears and pulled Tom up to safety. Tom Edison felt something go snap inside his head. Very soon he was quite deaf. Oh, he could hear people shout, he could hear the roar of a train, but all the soft sounds of the world were lost to him. Tom tried not to mind. He taught himself to read other people's lips, and he said the silence gave him room to think. Oh, but years later he wrote in his diary that he had not heard a bird sing since he was 12 years old. For 3 more years, Tom continued to work on the train, and then one day the train pulled into the station where his friend Mr. Mackenzie worked as a telegraph operator. Tom hopped off quickly and ran into the telegraph office. He liked to watch Mr. Mackenzie work. Tom loved the mysterious telegraph machinery. As he stood in the office, he looked through the window. What he saw made him rush out. Little Jimmy, Mr. Mackenzie's son, was playing on the tracks, and a train was coming. Tom took a flying leap right in front of the train. He grabbed the little boy and they rolled to safety. Tom felt his heel bang against the side of the train. It was that close. Mr. Mackenzie's voice shook.
What can I ever do to repay you, Tom?
Tom looked toward the telegraph office. Mr. Mackenzie understood. He would teach Tom the secrets of the telegraph. Tom studied hard. 5 months later, a proud boy shook hands with Mr. Mackenzie. Tom was only 16 years old, but now he could do a man's job. Now he could join the men who wandered from town to town, men who called themselves telegraph operators. For 5 years Tom wandered, from Ohio to Missouri to Alabama, from Mississippi to the Carolinas, and then back home again. During those years of work, he did a lot of dreaming ideas began to grow. Then when Tom was 21, he went to New York City, where he worked for men who owned big machines, new machines that ran by electricity. Tom was very good at inventing ways to make these machines better. He began to make money. In a couple years, he had enough money that he could stop working for other men. Tom built himself what he called an invention factory. It was on a piece of land in New Jersey called Menlo Park. He hired other men to work with him and help make his ideas and dreams come true. One of his first important inventions was this phonograph machine.
Hello, hello! Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was should go.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was should go.
As you can see, nothing about that phonograph machine looked much like our record players of today. Later, Tom improved it. He put a big horn on it to make the sound better, and he made a better record, too. It was round and flat, just as the ones of today are. Now, this is a picture of the first electric light, the one invented by Thomas Edison. Today, we have many kinds of light bulbs for many different uses, but they all began with this first electric light. The first movie camera was another of Edison's inventions. It was a very heavy machine, and today they're light enough that you can carry many of them and even take movies at home. I wonder, would Tom Edison recognize some of his own inventions if he were to see them today? Oh, he was a man with so many dreams for the future. I think he might. What I know for sure is this. His inventions made America a better and a brighter place for all of us to live. What you heard today about his life came from this book, The Story of Thomas Alva Edison, Inventor, by Mickey Compere. If you ever get the chance, I hope you will visit the Edison Museum in West Orange, New Jersey. There you can see and even touch many of his inventions. You'll see the notebooks in which he put his ideas. Why, he filled 3,400 notebooks. You can see the chair in which he sat and the coat he wore while he worked on his experiments. Oh, the next time you turn on a light or play a record, I hope you will think about this man who made all of that possible for you and all of us. Goodbye.
The preceding program was made possible by a grant from the Ohio Department of Education.